Hello and welcome to Court Vision. We're back in session. This time we are doing the Southwest Division. We're doing Tommy! Yay, Tommy!
Yes!
Woo! So, as you all know, Southwest is Tommy's division. Tommy is a Spurs fan based off of, that picture of Tommy hugging Tommy at the Alamo Dome or whatever it's called nowadays.
Center, yeah. Or Lacrosse Bank Center.
And yeah. So, Tommy will be giving us his professional opinion about the San Antonio Spurs. And he's going to say nasty things, but in a polite way about the rest of his division.
At least his arena's not crypto.com arena.
Let's kick things and it was the Staples Center for the longest time. Let's kick things off with the Houston Rockets because we're saving the best for last, as Tommy says. We're starting with the Houston Rockets. Last year they went 41-41. Kevin, what do you got going this year?
I have them at 44 wins. I think I think I like the improvement that I've seen out of their players, and I just gave them 3 more wins. Why not?
Sounds good. Mongo?
Listen, I kept him right at 41. I think Reed Sheppard, I like him. I think he's a sexy Rookie of the Year candidate. But otherwise, they did nothing. They brought in AJ Griffin, and that's about it. We've seen this with the Magic. We've seen this with the Kings. When you're a young team and you just say we're going to naturally grow our way better, it doesn't happen right away. In fact, for both teams, it took them a step backwards before they figured it out to balance their team and add some veterans and all that. So I kept them right where they are. It doesn't help that the rest of the West got better. I'm going to leave them right there at 41.
So before this started, I had them at, I think, 43 wins. Kevin can double check that.
That's right.
I have them now at 41 wins. The only reason why is because I gave wins to another team and then took wins away because I didn't want to have a tiebreakers because it's frustrating. So the Spurs and the Mavericks actually got more wins out of this. But yeah, I have them 41-41. This team's not worse. Could they do worse? Yes. Not because of anything other than, like Mongo said, this is a young team and they didn't do anything major to help get them over the hump. Tommy?
Okay, so let me preface this. I really hate this team, but for all the right reasons. I think that this is a team that can only go up. I really like Sengun. I think Reed Sheppard was a great pick. I have them going 45 wins. That's my in fact that'd be them coming in second in the Southwest for me.
Interesting. They're actually my 4th place team.
That's a fair assessment too.
I'll tell you this: they're my 4th place team, but if I gave them 45 wins, they'd be my 2nd place team, which I know sounds Yogi Berra-esque. But at the same time, what it means is we only have them 4-5 games lower than you, Tommy, and everyone basically is in between those games. So it's not like we're particularly higher on other teams. We're just keeping Houston. Kelly, maybe I'm speaking for you. I have Houston either a year or a veteran presence away from making that jump of a couple games.
Oh, absolutely.
But I don't think they're miles away. I think they're knocking on the door. They just didn't particularly do anything to, better find a key for themselves to get through that door.
As crazy as it sounds, if they got Tobias Harris this offseason, I would have them positioned better.
So
I might actually have had them at the same record instead because Tobias Harris produced a goose egg last time we saw him.
But I don't mean him statistically. I mean his presence would help this team, right? Like he is an experienced player. He has, pedigree to him, whether or not, he's lived up to his ridiculous contract the Sixers gave him is not what I'm saying. He is a good NBA player. And he has that veteran leadership that he could bring to this team that maybe he'll give to Detroit.
Yeah, if they had a Pacer-like run last year where they got a ton of playoff experience they weren't necessarily ready for, or if they had a young Thunder core type run to the top so they knew what the top felt like, I may be more inclined to say they can just naturally figure out how to win close games they were losing last year. But why should I believe that? They didn't particularly get any playoff experience, right? They didn't get any natural, growth points, so to speak. They're still a team that I would not believe in them if there's 3 minutes left in a 2-point game in the fourth quarter. Why should I? They've never proven themselves. They still have to do that.
Unless they're playing a worse team.
Right. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, 41-41 puts them about maybe 16th overall in the NBA. I mean, they're a mid team, and there's nothing wrong with that for a team that is on the, if you're mid and going up versus a team like where you guys have the Chicago Bulls mid and going down, or mid and in need of going down in order to build back up. Those are two very, very different places. But, in this case, they're just kind of biding their time. And we know the Lakers, right? The Lakers don't have much more time. I mean, say what you want about the Spurs. Yes, they are, they have a young core, but Barnes and Paul aren't going to be around forever. The Warriors are done soon, right? Houston is going to naturally move up the food chain here very quickly, no matter what they do. Even if you told me right now they're going to go 41-41 for the next 5 years, they're going to naturally move up. I think I have them 10th overall or 11th overall in the West. I'll check in a second. But that 41-41 wouldn't be 10th or 11th in 3 years' time. That would be ahead of the Lakers. That would be ahead of the Warriors. So they'll naturally move up the food chain here. Just by virtue of who's around them.
And just remember, folks, we're just trying to guess win numbers here. This is not a power rankings list.
Always true. I love that.
Yep. Next, we're gonna go to Memphis. They were 27 wins last year. I have them jumping up a lot, but that's mostly because Ja's gonna hopefully be healthy for the whole year, stays out of trouble. This team should be better. I have them at 42 wins, 1 win above 500. That's not so much better. They're not so much better than this Houston Rockets team, but I think that this team with a healthy Ja is a above 500 team. I think that they still have a few things that they need to fix. I hope that the Knicks do not do the trades I've been hearing of getting Marcus Smart. Not because I don't think Marcus Smart is a good player, but I don't want to give up Deuce for Marcus Smart.
I will tell you right now. I know it's the Southwest show, Tommy. I want to give you plenty of time to talk Spurs, but Deuce McBride might not even beat out the rookie Kolak for that backup point guard spot. True. I mean, McBride may be the 12th man on this team. So if you can get an old defensive player like Marcus Smart, yes, do it 100%. I'm going to take the reins here just because I jumped in on the Marcus Smart conversation. I'm with you, Kilroy, 100%. I have him at 44 wins, and I attribute that almost completely to Ja. Now, to I think, Kevin, I heard one of you down there snickering about this. This could easily be the team I'm most wrong about. If Ja either gets hurt again or can't figure it out as a leader, this would be the time to say, okay, maybe we got to figure out what the franchise's direction is here. Well, we've talked a lot about the West has collectively gotten better. I also don't think there's really a whole lot separating about 5 and 12. And if you find yourself near the bottom of that, mid pile, there's no reason that a team with Ja Morant, one of the best players in the league, a guy who should or could easily be one of the faces of this league over the next couple of years. Because remember, the conversation of who's going to be on the 2028 Olympic team is a conversation that is going to get Ja Morant's face back towards the, front cover of the NBA. If he's not ready for that challenge, this team is broken and they have a major problem. But I think he's up for it on the court. It's just a matter of can he keep it up off the court. I will also say a healthy Brandon Clark helps. A healthy Triple J helps. Gigi Jackson looks like the truth. There's a lot to like about the pieces behind Ja, but this is Ja's team, and a full year from Ja will make a difference. I put him at 44, right I think that gives him about 8th or 9th for me, right in the thick of the play-in tournament.
I'm along the same lines, Mongo. I have them a slightly lower. I have them at 42 wins. I think last year there were two things working against Ja Morant and by extension the Grizzlies. One, Ja Morant was suspended because he was playing with guns. Hopefully he's learned his lesson, doesn't play with guns anymore. Two, he also got injured, which, doesn't help when you're trying to make up for the first 25 games you were suspended and now you get injured on top of that. I think with the I don't think the injury was I think he's fully recovered by this point. I think he's okay physically, and I'm gonna go on the benefit of the doubt until proven otherwise that he's on a good straight and narrow path and that he won't be in trouble for suspension reasons of that off court stuff. So I put them at 42 wins just because why not? And I believe they're an above 500 team.
Hey, I agree with you, Kevin. Same win total. Tommy?
Look, I was trying to be a little more conservative with how much wins I gave them from last year. I put them at 36, and that puts them at last in this division in my ranking. I still think they could go easily 500. I wanted to play it safe, especially with the history of Ja Morant. I'm not nearly as high on Ja Morant as I used to be, say 3 or 4 years ago.
Fair enough. He does.
It's a fair thing. Things have happened since then, so it's not a bad thought. It really comes down to
one game behind the team ahead of them. So
yeah, it really comes down to do you have confidence that Ja Morant can A, stay on the court, not get into trouble, and B, can he stay on the court health wise? It just depends on how much.
And I had to look at their division. Those wins I gave to Houston are wins I took away from Memphis. And
wins got to go somewhere.
And I took away some wins to give to the Spurs.
That's fair. Before we move on, let's thank Derrick Rose for his wonderful NBA career. He has announced his retirement. Thank you, Derrick Rose. You were you're important to us here in New York. You had your own controversies, but I there's nothing I can say in a positive way about that. Just do better, But I'm glad that you were able to retire. Unfortunately, did not get your championship. Injuries unfortunately ruined a very bright future he had, but he did not let it get him down too long. He still was able to have a pretty long career for how early his injuries happened in his career. So congratulations, Derrick Rose, and sky's the limit for your future.
Absolutely. And real quick, two things before we move on here. One, if you are somehow young enough to not remember 12 years ago, but old enough to be either trying to learn the game of basketball or somehow coaching the game of basketball, that early 2010s, that Noah Rose team, that's basketball. Go watch that for physical but not dirty style play you want to be showing people. Secondly, because the YouTube algorithm knows what's up, I got to say it real quick while we're talking about the Memphis Grizzlies. Zach Edey, just got to throw that out there so we can now get subsidized by the fine folks in Memphis.
One quick note on Joakim Noah: don't watch his shooting. That was terrible.
Yeah, no, watch them as a team. Watch them as a team. Don't watch their individual parts. And I think that's kind of the point of that team, right? Everyone on that team, the sum way outweighed the parts on that team. And that's the kind of team, in fairness, Noah's Florida team was the same thing. I mean, look at how Corey Brewer and whoever that was, that Torian Green was the other one, and Al Horford. I mean, Al Horford had a great career, but that Florida team is one of the best college teams of all time, and not a whole lot of 3/5 of that team ended up being fairly NBA bustish. No offense to Corey Brewer, I enjoyed that guy. But
if you take that Bulls team and you put it in like the mid to late 2000s, that team, yeah,
that team was just a little behind its time, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
All right. On to the next. I have the Pelicans. Last year, they won 49 wins. That's not sustainable for this team. I'm sorry. I gave them 43 wins, slightly better than the Grizzlies. slightly better than the Rockets. But if you told me that those three switch in any order, yeah. I'm just not confident. I'm not confident in this team being able to get to 49 wins again.
Yeah, I'm honestly I'm right there with you. I put them at 43 wins, and just so I can officially go on the record here, I have the Pelicans and the Grizzlies making the play-in, the Rockets as the 11 missing the play-in. So it's only a separation of 2-3 wins, but in this clogged West, it does make a difference. Now, Kevin, to what you said before, to me, this is the most perfect example of power ranking versus wins. I mean, this is a team that, they lost Dyson. DeJounte Murray, great player, but it's going to take him some time to gel. In the meantime, you lost Dyson Daniels. You lost Jonas Valanciunas. You lost Larry Nance. You lost Najee Marshall. And the guys you replace some of those guys with, like Yves Missi, for example, it's going to take – he's raw. It's going to take him – if he ends up being the starting center there, it's going to take him some time. You never know. Obviously, we haven't even talked about Zion yet, right? You never know what he's going to give you in terms of health. But I think it doesn't matter who your star. I mean, we've seen years where LeBron or KD completely flip 8 out of 12 guys on their team, and it takes a while for those teams to gel. And so to lose 4 or 5 guys from your 9-man rotation and replace 2 of them with rookies, right? Because they also have that European stash. I'm blanking on his name. I think it's something like Carlo Matovich or something coming over. That is going to take time. So I don't have this team, and I can see it even being lower than the number I gave because it's going to take some time for them to gel. But assuming they finish in the top 10, once they figure this out, no matter where their ranking is, I think they're going to be ranked lower than their talent. They're going to be a very tough out in the play-in or the playoffs, but the win total is going to be lower because there's a lot of adjusting to do with this team.
Tommy?
Yeah, I got them at 40 and 42. I've got them just barely cracking the 40 wins. Like you said, that 49 wins isn't sustainable, especially with the changes they've made. I could definitely see myself swapping Memphis and the Pelicans' wins at some point too, depending on how the season starts and how it goes. Because I don't have faith in that Pelicans team whatsoever, but I knew there was enough talent on that team to at least give them 40 wins.
I'm of a similar mindset with everyone here. I put the Pelicans at 42 wins. I think the only way they can reach their 49 win total from last year is if Zion Williamson doesn't get hurt, and history has shown that he gets hurt he's good for at least 10 to 15 games, if not more, every season. So that would be enough of a difference to knock them down to 42 wins. I have them in a tie, but lower than that other team in the tie, which shall be named later.
For the fantasy players, I would say not pick Zion Williamson. Remember,
I am
Gamble
2%. I am 2% mad that I can't decide if you're talking about the Spurs or Mavs. I'm 98% mad that you have a tie. I need you to know that.
Hey, I love ties.
I hate them. On to the next.
Let's move to the Mavericks. Last year they had 50 wins and went to the NBA Finals. They're going to have the hangover because every team does. I have them at 48 wins. I actually had them less. I think I had 45, Kevin.
You had them at 47 last I checked.
Okay, whatever. 48 is what I put them up to. I don't know. I couldn't. I 50 is very difficult for me to give. This team did get Clay. That's may or may not be good. We don't know. We'll find out if Clay last year is Clay moving forward, or if it was just that Golden State was just slowly phasing him out. I don't really know. It's hard to be against Luka. That's why I have this team winning the division. It's still, Kyrie's still very, very good. Kevin hates Kyrie, so I can't wait to hear his words on Kyrie. But yeah.
Want me to go next? I'll go next.
Go ahead, Tommy. Take it.
I got Dallas winning this division with 54 wins. I think they're going to run it back, and I think they're one of the, I think they made it to the finals for a reason, is my point. Like, they're one of the better teams in the league by far.
We'll save Kevin for last.
Okay, I'll go. Well, Kevin's either with you, Tommy, or Kevin's wrong. I think low 50s is the move here. I have him at 51 actually, and here's a case where I'll have to do some research, but this may be my Western Conference pick. Power ranking wise, I adore this team. Kilroy, to what you said, if you want to, you mentioned the hangover and everyone has it. There's really two cures for the hangover in the NBA, and that's Splash and Brothers. That team does not seem to get hungover. And if you want one of two guys in your locker room, if you want to come out with hunger, no matter how your season ended, it's either Clay or Steph.
Well, we lost Tommy.
So, he was that angry by that comment by me. And so, there he is. And so I think Clay is a perfect guy to get them right back and refocused. But the other thing, I love that they went out and kind of sprinkled a little bit of everything here. They go out and they add Dinwiddie, who can be a nice microwave offense piece off that bench. They go out and they add Quentin Grimes, who we know in limited minutes can be a nice 3-and-D guy. They go out and add Najee Marshall, who's going to kind of play that sort of Dwight Powell, asked to be way bigger than he actually is type player. We know they added a couple bigs last year to help them out, PJ Washington. They drafted well last year. I like a lot what is here. I think it's going to take a little bit to gel on the court, which is why I can't go too much higher. But I think this is another team like the Pelicans. That 51 wins is not a reflection of what they're going to be in the playoffs. I think they could end up being the 4 or 5 seed with that 51 wins and be a real hard out.
Oh, they're definitely going to be very hard out. And I'm not trying to. I actually think we're all pretty close. I mean, except we haven't heard from Kevin.
I think Kevin's in on it. This would be too shocking. This is too good of a team. Anything over 48, and I'll lose my mind here.
No. Okay, so I do have the Dallas Mavericks winning this division. I just don't have them as high of a win total as you guys have. I have them at 46 wins. I think there's going to be – and I think it's going to take time for them to work in the new parts, especially with Klay Thompson. I'm a little bit concerned with Klay Thompson. I don't know where he is, mentally and physically. So I erred on the side of less wins with regard to the shakeup. I think it's going to take a little bit of time for the Dallas Mavericks to win, with everything else, I think 46 wins is still good enough to win this division.
Okay, so we're all in the same ballpark.
Real quick, Kevin, I can tell you where he is mentally, and that's pissed with something to prove. I can tell you where he is physically, and that's protected by those other guys I named. You don't need him to be going out there against the best small forward, for 35, 40 minutes a night. I mean, Marshall and Grimes do an adequate job of just eating those defensive minutes, where you can move Klay kind of anywhere, 2 or 3. You can even play a little 4, and the Mavs are never afraid to be too small on the court, and you can kind of hide him on any given night if you need to, if he can't be that guy. He's proven time and time again that even in his slumps, the defense goes to another level. Even with 1 more year of age, I'm not ready to call him old yet. But more importantly, they did a good job of being able to protect him, pretty much at any level, should his age start to show, which again, I really, really nice front office job here of building a team around their stars.
Yeah. Fair enough. Let's wrap things up with Tommy's San Antonio Spurs. Last year, they had 22 wins. I have them going up 13 wins. That's probably a ridiculous amount. I have them at 35 wins. Yeah, I mean, I think that's you have them even higher, which is fine. Chris Paul is Chris Paul. You can't deny that. The team did not get worse. I think 13 wins is a good amount of wins. That's a lot. That's a lot of wins, right? Like let's be honest here. That's a lot of wins to add on. This team is still a year or 2 off, in my opinion, from really taking a leap into being a contender for the division title. I do see that. My guess is you'll probably see eventual drop off in the Pelicans and the Grizzlies, and you'll see the Spurs and Houston climb up the top. And
backwards,
honestly, Dallas is going to be a question mark in the future as well, mostly because if at any point Luka becomes dissatisfied, what are they going to do? And Kyrie at any point could retire. He's what, 35? I think he's 35, 30. He's the same around same age as us, right? So he's at any point he could be retiring as well. And then
Kyrie Irving's 32, but he can walk away at any point.
Right. And you know, they don't really have necessarily a backup plan for the future when him and Clay eventually do retire. Again, that's the future. I'm not talking about this team now. I'm talking about the future of the team. And this is all speculation, of course, because I can. But yeah, the Spurs 35 wins. I think that's 13 wins is a lot extra. Can they do better? Yeah. I just don't know where I would be taking them away from. Let's go back and take them from Chicago.
I would not be surprised if Chicago owes wins at the end of this season. But with that being said, hey, listen, before anyone says 13's a lot, before I give my number, that I'm guessing Tommy and Kevin might even be higher than I might have the lowest, or at least tied for the third lowest number here. Listen, Victor Wembanyama played 71 games last year. Yahoo has them as their number one ranked fantasy player this year. Like, the hype is insane with this team. We're just four dudes. We're just following the lead here. But if a guy who has yet to reach his 80th career game can already be the best player on earth, listen, we're allowed to make up any number we want here. I stopped at 37, which I still think might be low. I mean, you add Harrison Barnes, you add Chris Paul. I mean, those are two bona fide starters to add to this. And here's the thing. It's not like they really lost anybody. So every time you added somebody, not only did you add somebody, but you put somebody in the more appropriate role. So, for example, Chris Paul, probably the best thing Chris Paul does for this team is he means Malachi Branham never has to start for this team again, right? Now Malachi Branham can be a Deuce McBride-style combo guard off the bench who can just focus on his 12, 14 minutes a night, right? Keldon Johnson can now just focus on being, different position, but Malik Monk-style offensive weapon off the bench. What was that, Tommy?
No more Point Sohan.
Right, no more points on, right? Everyone resorts back to where they actually belong. Kind of like when a baseball team gives up prospects for an ace. Not only does it bring in an ace, but it moves the fake ace down to their natural 2, the 2 down to their natural 3. Everyone falls more in line where they belong. So this team didn't just add 2 starters. It got significantly deeper. And, of course, it's still so many young guys. I mentioned Malachi Branham for his example. He feels like he's been around forever. He's 21. This whole team is incredibly young. It's going to naturally get better. But adding those, especially Harrison Barnes, such a good add. We saw what he was able to do as sort of the unsung veteran hero of that young Sacramento team. We know he'll find a way to get his while also staying out of the way and developing the youth around him. He knows how to see those growing pains around it and adjust. I love that ad. Big fan of what they did here. Big fan of, the way they drafted. Big fan of everything going on down there, to the surprise of nobody. I mean, that team's been run correctly for the better part of 30, 40 years now. But yeah, I have them at 37, and I really do think you can. I don't think you can overwhelm me with a number here, Tommy. I'm expecting big things from you. Given how hyped the world is about this team, you're just joining the party. Let's go to Kevin next, and we'll let Tommy have the floor to end this thing.
Sure. I have the San Antonio Spurs at 42 wins,
Yeah, there you go.
Plus 20 from last year. I believe Victor's going to take that big jump, and in addition to everything Mongo said, I think from what I've seen. Every time I watched Victor Wembanyama play, I've been really impressed with the young player. I think his game's just gonna get even better, and he's just gonna surpass expectations. Now, I want to fill the quick shot. If you do notice that I did name 3 teams at 42 wins in my picks, so I have the San Antonio Spurs above all those 3 teams, winning a division record tiebreaker. And then after that, I have the Grizzlies and the Pelicans.
Go,
as the last
Kevin.
of those 3.
Wait, didn't you have this? Didn't you have the Mavericks at 46? Doesn't that make them the division winner?
No, I have the Mavericks. I have the Mavericks at 46. I'm saying of the 3 teams tied at 42 wins, I have the Spurs winning the tiebreaker over the other 2 42-win teams.
I was not the only one who was confused by how he worded that, right?
Like, can we
Sorry.
move on?
I blacked out when he said 3-team tiebreaker. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we know
crazy.
you hate
If
tiebreakers.
you asked me what the tiebreaker was there, I stopped listening. I blacked out completely.
We know.
That's just so many wins. That's all I'm gonna say.
Look,
And
I
I'll say
I
this.
have to agree with
I
Michael
gave the
here.
Grizzlies
That's
like
a lot of
almost double
wins
their
to
wins,
give
so
them.
maybe I'm crazy.
No, you're not crazy, because we're gonna get to me now, and I have them winning 37.
Oh,
But that's my low
Winner.
ball. That's my low ball. I could totally see them winning more because this team has nothing but potential.
Yes, this team has a lot of potential and easily could be a 500 team.
I just wanted
I
to
just-
play it safe.
I think adding 20 wins is just so many.
I agree. That's kind of crazy.
I agree
But-
too, but hey,
but
I'm
stranger
a
things have
believer in Victor, and I'm a
Okay,
believer
so
in
here's
the
my
Spurs,
question:
so
What
why
was
not?
the Cavs jump from year 1 to year 2 of the LeBron era, rookie era?
I'll try to look for that right now.
Because that if that was 20 wins, then yeah. Though this Spurs team is probably better than any of the early LeBron.
I was going to
Cavs
say
teams.
you give even an old Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes and a developing Devin Vassell and Keldon Johnson and
Underpop.
Stephon Castle and offense off the bench from guys
What
like
do you mean?
Brano. I mean,
But LeBron had Zydrunas Ilgauskas and Ricky Davis and Bubby
Exactly.
Gibson, maybe. I don't know. Struggling for names. Oh, Danielle Marshall, he was there.
Who?
That feels right.
He's a Berks, Pennsylvania guy. Reading, PA, by the way. Berks is the county. Anyway, I know that because I went to Penn State Berks, and he was talked about it.
I have the answer, guys.
Yeah,
Sorry
I don't know.
about that. I do have the answer: 33-41.
So
The
Yeah.
answer: he went up 8 wins from year 1 to year 2.
Now here's why stats are great. Does that prove that it's really hard to go up that many wins? Absolutely. Does it prove that it's possible to get to around 500 in your second season? Also possible, right? It depends on how you want to interpret that stat. Just because LeBron had a better rookie season, it's not a matter of how big is the jump, it's where are you jumping to, or isn't it? Then we don't know, right? That's the for my math students out there. There's a fun stats lesson for you. So, while I agree with you, Kilroy, it does definitely kind of put a damper on our dream here. It also shows that you can easily get to 500 by your sophomore season with a far worse team than what the Spurs just did. Because if you say Harrison Barnes is worth 2 or 3 wins, Chris Paul's worth 2 or 3 wins, well, now it's not really a jump of 20, it's a jump of 14, which is not much more than that 8, right? Wemby's development is worth 2 or 3. Now it's more like 11 or 10. Now we're getting there. So it's stats are.
I get it. I do get it. I'm not saying it's out of the realm of possibility. I'm just saying, conservatively speaking, 13 wins is a substantial amount. That's closer to 8.
Well,
And if you include those 4
when you
wins,
judge for inflation,
that's exactly right. That's 9 then, right? The 9 that you just discussed, right?
I'd also have to think about what was going. Was that right about when who was falling off a cliff? Wasn't that about when the Knicks started losing 50 games a season? The Cleveland stole those games from the
really
Knicks.
bad. The East was so bad. God, that was a bad East.
Let's
Anyway,
try to forget about the Knicks portion of bad NBA history, please.
allow me to help you forget about that because I have a lot of things to say about the Spurs this season.
I don't even
please
think the
go ahead.
Raptors were good.
All right, so firstly, I'd like to.
Celtics were bad.
Let
Sorry.
Tommy go ahead.
So firstly, I'd like to point out 2 players that this is going to be a big year where they're going to have to prove themselves this year, and that's Devin Vassell and Keldon Johnson. I suspect that Keldon might be a target at the trade deadline. They were already shopping him over the summer, and I think they're going to use this first half of the season to really show his qualities and try and get a player in return for him. Meanwhile, I think this is going to be Devin Vassell's year to really shine. He was already pretty great last year, but that was with injuries. If he can stay healthy this year, I have him in contention for most improved player.
Nice.
And then I have Victor Wembanyama, who's only going to get better. Like you said, he played 71 games last year, and they've got him as like the top prospect.
Oh, I mean,
And
he was also
yeah,
early in the
that's
season. They weren't
hilarious.
playing him much. right? He was playing
Wembanyama,
games, but
I
his
read
minutes were restricted.
he's gained 25 pounds since last season. That's going to do him wonders. Because that's 25 extra pounds that's going to help him, take a hit from your Jokic or, someone similarly built. I'm not saying he's always going to be like a brick wall or something, but he's going to be more durable.
But that's similar to like what Giannis did, right? Giannis
Yes.
came in very skinny, and then he was able to bulk up. You don't
Yeah.
want him to bulk up too fast as well. 25 is a good amount.
That's a healthy amount for between
you know,
seasons.
that puts him at what 230 ish.
I think so. Yeah.
I'll look it up.
So that's not terrible.
And I think another thing to look out for, because no, I don't think Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes move the needle in their own right. The reason they're here is because they're amazing presences to have around someone like Stephon Castle or even Wemby. And I think Stephon Castle in particular is going to look really good this year under the guidance of Chris Paul. And we should probably be looking at him as not as a surefire, but a dark horse pick for Rookie of the Year.
Fair enough. Anything else we want to add before we wrap things up?
I think that I've said my piece here. Yeah.
He's listed on several sites as 235 pounds right now. 26-pound increase from last year's 209.
That's
Not
solid.
bad.
That's sizable.
Hey, Tommy, real quick before we end the show, I forget how to spell Paul. Can I see his name on the back of your jersey?
Yeah, sure. Oh, great. This is not actually a Chris Paul jersey.
Well, thank you all so much for watching.
This guy's a
Remember,
phony.
subscribe, comment down
This guy's
below.
a phony.
I'm a phony.
You didn't even see the back.
Yeah, you
saw
couldn't
the
see it,
back
but
of Tommy,
it's
you
definitely
didn't
not a
see
Chris
his
Paul
name.
jersey. I can tell you that.
But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Remember, like, share, subscribe, comment down below your division rankings. And do you think 20 wins is a lot to jump up? Catch you guys next time.
Love y'all.
Go Spurs, go.